I think people assume that when you get a ton of followers, you're getting reach. Naturally, people just start reaching out to you, which is usually not the case. Like usually you have to be the one to be proactive about it. If everything is not optimized, the pin post, highlights, bio, links, the whole content itself, then you're gonna miss out on business. And that could also be why a lot of you guys doing outreach are like, hey, I sent 50 messages a day and I'm not getting any responses.
You can just focus and go hard on one thing instead of getting distracted. Like, oh, webinars are better, or like, oh, this is better, oh, this is VSL, and now we need this. And that's one of the things that keeps a lot of people broke. Because they're like, what's the next shiny ball that I can chase?
The first thing my clients should do, and what a lot of coaches should do to hit their first 10 to 20K per month. Once you get there and you have some capital, then you can start, doing some paid marketing, ads, some other things as well.
Let's say that if I were to offer you a Ferrari, a brand new 2025 Ferrari for $1,000, your first question is what? What's wrong with it? And so if your thing is so great and it can really get me what you're telling me it's going to, then why isn't it worth what it's supposed to be worth? Welcome back to another episode of the A-Listers Show, where we bring you movers and shakers, people doing interesting things, and today's guest is no different. Today we have Joe McCarthy from GEM. Super excited to talk about personal branding, how to build an online presence, how to become a coach, dial in your message, and really just grow your business in general. So how you doing today, Joe?
Good. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So I like to kick these things off with a little bit of like credibility building. Why should people listen to you? Tell us about what you've done so far and why should people listen to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have been in the personal marketing, like digital marketing, personal brand space for 8 years at this point. Grew up on a small farm in Virginia, and like long story short, I started using social media at a really young age to sell farm products and chickens. So it's always been like part of what I've done. And so it slowly morphed into, me building my personal brand, which is now at Real Joe McCarthy. I've scaled that to 400,000 followers at this point. Since 2017, worked with over 7,000 clients. I've scaled massive, brands, helped a lot of people scale and launch offers. I personally, launched my own offer, and we can get into the nitty gritty on how that's all going right now. But so far, so good. But yeah, just been grinding, scaling the brand, helping other people scale their brands, making money on online social media, and I'm here to share more information and knowledge on the process on how I've done it and how I help my clients do it as well.
Yeah, well, let's dive into it. So, selling chickens online?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, tell me about how you got into social media and what the story is with the farm in Virginia.
Yeah. So like I said, I grew up on a farm, and since I was super young, I've always had like an entrepreneur spirit. Like I would sell like Airheads at school. I was selling candy. I was selling stuff to my siblings. So I was doing everything I could in order to, make a buck and just, save money and things like that. And so we always had chickens. We had like a small hobby, farm, I guess you could call it. And I just saw a opportunity to start selling chicken eggs because, we have fridges full of eggs, and my mom was just giving them away to like my aunts and grandparents and just friends, and I'm like, why don't we sell them for a few bucks? And so back in the day, I started this like farm business, right? And so I started growing it. Eventually got to like the point where I was raising hundreds of chickens per year. Like I had a whole like flock, and I was doing like turkeys and ducks and chickens, and we had sheep at one point. But one issue I was having is I wasn't able to get clients, and a lot of entrepreneurs deal with this, whether you're in person, online. It's like, we got the product, we have the service, but like, how the heck do we get clients? So the first roadblock I came up with is okay, I had all this product, but I wasn't getting clients. So I was like putting up road signs, I was knocking on people's doors. Like I recruited my girlfriend to go to the rich people areas and just knock on doors saying like, hey, you want a couple, dozen eggs? It's like, didn't really work. No matter what I tried, these old school methods, they didn't work. Until I saw this farmer in my area. He was using social media and Facebook, Instagram, essentially just documenting, sharing his process, sharing his journey, sharing him doing his daily farm chores. And I noticed he was selling, like he was getting clients locally by posting himself online. So I think I was probably 15 or 16 at the time. And I was like, screw it, I'll just open up a Facebook and Instagram page for the farm. Quickly grew that to a couple thousand people locally, started selling out of all the farm products. I'm like, okay, there's something here. So I guess that's when it first clicked is, okay, I can use this social media thing to get clients, make money. So that's the story on like how it surfaced, and that's where I started posting on camera, creating little farm videos and sharing tips and tricks and just that documentation. And obviously fast forward to today, it's much bigger than it was back then, but that's how I got my first start.
Yeah, speaking of what you've done today, you said 7,000 clients? Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, so we've had clients from coaches, business owners, celebrities, entrepreneurs, I mean, some of the biggest names you can think of. So actually, fast forward a few years after I started the farm thing, I got into high ticket sales. So I was working with my partner on helping people scale up their brands, get out to more people. We were doing a lot of like press articles and just helping them get known. So we've had all kinds of different clients from like lawyers, entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, speakers. So pretty much anyone you can think of that's probably over 50, 100, 500K, they've probably worked with us at some point. So that's where I referenced 7,000 clients. Most of it is that stuff. And then recently, about a year ago, I launched my like official coaching and consulting offer, because a lot of people, they were asking me like, okay, you help me grow, you help me get featured in articles, you help me with the press and all that, but like, how do I actually dial in the strategy, the marketing, building my own voice, launching an offer. So a year ago, I officially launched the Bulletproof Branding Accelerator, which is like my main offer. And so that's what I'm currently pushing and promoting. But yeah, it's just been like a lot of trial and error. Like I've probably taken, 3,000 sales calls at this point. I probably DM'd, like DM outreach. We can also get into that. That's one of my main avenues for lead generation. So I've had a team in my account for like 8 years. I probably sent 250,000 DMs at this point over the past 7 or 8 years. Literally, I'll meet people on the street and we get into like a conversation, or I meet a new person, we become friends. I look back at our DM conversation just out of curiosity. 2021, 2020 is like there's always some sort of thread, right? So like I feel like I've DM'd like every person in the entrepreneurship space. But just a lot of trial and errors has gotten to where I've gotten. So yeah.
Yeah. So tell me more about personal branding. What's the value of a personal brand? Why should somebody invest in that? And what's the benefit of that?
Yeah. I think it's cliche to say, but really everybody has a brand to a certain extent. It's just like, are you controlling it or are you letting other people control it? What I mean by that is, with me, for instance, I control my personal brand. I control how people perceive me online. And obviously, if they were to look me up, I have a specific presence, like I have credibility, right? Where most people go wrong is they just assume that they don't have a personal brand, or because they don't post a ton of content, they don't have a brand, which is not the case. Like everybody, again, has a brand to a certain degree. And to answer your other question in terms of like why build a personal brand, I think building a personal brand just overall, it helps to multiply the impact you can make. Because like I even have friends and people that are like, I'm already making millions of dollars. Like I already have, my nest egg. Like why should I build my brand? And I tell them, it's like, it's really up to you. Like you don't have to build your personal brand. Like I'm not going to put a gun to your head and say like, you have to go and post, 4 times a week, 5 times a week and build this brand. But it's like, if you want to have any like impact in the world, if you want to reach more people, you look at these massive entrepreneurs. You look at like Tony Robbins, Patrick Bet-David, Grant Cardone. They all have massive brands, and because they have massive brands, they are also garnering a lot of success. I also think it does have a lot of tactical advantages, right? Like you look at Elon Musk, you look at Trump, whether you love him or hate him, it's like they hopped on these podcasts, they built their brands, and because of that, their companies are worth more. They obviously got into becoming president, so clearly having a personal brand can help in a lot of different areas. So that's what I would say to that regard.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of some of these people like Patrick Bet-David or who's the one you mentioned, Tony Robbins, who are some of the people that you look up to as far as people that are doing personal brands right, or even people that you like to learn about branding from?
Mm-hmm. I think Patrick Bet-David, he's not really personal brand specific, but like clearly he knows what he's doing. So I think he's just like almost the godfather of like what could be possible. Like he's obviously like for when this is coming out, like he's going to be throwing this Vault conference in September. 10,000 people are going to show up in person. Like you wouldn't be able to do that unless you had the brand, you're running the marketing, you had this aura, this credibility. So I think he's a great example, Patrick Bet-David. Like he's trying to like take over the world at this point, like with the valuetainment stuff and just like politics and things like that. I think on like a smaller scale, like there's other people out there. This one guy, Sam Millsap, he's not as well known, but he's like around my age. We both have a ton of siblings. So I kind of vibe with Sam's stuff. He's also very authentic. So if you were to look up Sam Millsap, I think he's a really good example of like just being himself, being authentic. He barely edits his content. Like he is who he is. He has great information, great value. It's like, love him or hate him, he knows his stuff. He knows who he is. He knows his values and his beliefs. And I think he's like a good example specifically when it comes to coaching and personal branding.
Yeah. So what were you doing the DMs for when you have a whole team and doing your personal DMs? What were you doing that for? Was that for your like PR stuff or for your branding offer?
Both. I'm actually still doing it. Yeah, like I don't do it personally anymore. Like I have my team, especially reaching out to new followers. Like I don't do a lot of cold DMs anymore, but I definitely reach out to all my new followers. Hey, thanks for the follow. Love the page. How long have you been an entrepreneur for? Then we get into a conversation. Are you getting business through Instagram? Yes, no. Cool. I'd love to hop on a call to show you like what I'm currently doing in terms of branding, marketing, lead gen. So it always drives to a call. Like the whole goal for my DM outreach, whether it was for like the branding and growth and PR stuff or my own offer, it was always to book a call. And so I'm still doing that today, right? So I'll reach out to people who are new followers just to spark up the conversation. Because I think people assume that when you get a ton of followers, you're getting reach, naturally people just start reaching out to you, which is usually not the case. Like usually you have to be the one to be proactive about it. You have to reach out to them first. Hey, thanks for the follow, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I started implementing. That's what my team has been doing for years at this point. And that's why I've gotten a lot of businesses, because I'm booking daily calls from this outreach in order to book calls, hop on the call, close the deals, and get more clients to make a bigger impact.
Are you seeing that you're having success with that nowadays in terms of, because, we all get dozens of DMs, especially a lot of them are coming from like overnight and stuff and overseas. Are you still having success with DMs? Is that still a successful thing?
Yeah. No, I still see a lot of success with it. I think it's probably gone down a little bit. Like I think my response rate was a little bit better back like 2022 because it wasn't as popular, it wasn't as flooded, I guess you could say. But I'm still seeing great results, like great response rates. I think it also helps the fact that I have a good social media presence. So this drives me into those random spammy DMs that we get. Number one, the scripting is usually way off. You're either sending something way too short or just like a huge paragraph. Our attention spans, just as humans these days, are not very long. So when we see like a massive paragraph, we're not going to respond to that. So the first thing is a lot of these people, they're sending just totally horrible copy. The initial message is not good. They're not asking a question, so they're not enticing a response. And then number two, I get DMs all the time. Typically, if I'm even considering responding, like if the message is decent, but then I go to your page and it's like it has 3 posts, horrible profile picture, no highlights, barely, no bio, you lost business, you know what I mean? So I think it also helps, and this is what I teach my clients, is I don't just help you with the scripting, with the outreach, with the targeting, but I help you build a credible first impression as well to position yourself as an authority. So when you go do outreach or even run ads, everything converts way better because when you drive them to your social media page, like, again, it's cliche to say, but it's your new business card, it's your resume. So it's like if you don't have a credible presence, if everything is not optimized, the pinned posts, highlights, bio, links, the whole content itself, then you're going to miss out on business. And that could also be why a lot of you guys doing outreach, you're like, hey, I sent 50 messages a day and I'm not getting any responses. It could be just the fact that like you're not posting content, you're not positioning yourself as an authority. So all of those little nuances come into play when we're looking at how successful you are at outreach.
Yeah. So tell me also about your offer. What is it that you help people with exactly? Like, what is it you actually do for them?
Yeah, so my offer, I pieced it out into four pieces. So the first thing that we want to do when you come in, and this is also specifically typically for coaches, so someone that's trying to build their offer, make money online, maybe make their first 10 15 20K per month online as a coach. So the first thing we want to do is we want to structure or refine your offer. We want to figure out like what are the price points, the deliverables, time frames, how much involvement do you want in this program. Some people want it a little bit more passive with modules. Some people want one-on-one connection, calls, Zoom, Slack channel. So that's the first thing we dive into, is just figure out like what is this offer that we're selling. Ideally more high ticket, because I think a lot of people, what they do is they undercharge or they undervalue themselves and they way overdo it on the deliverables. And then that creates a lot of scaling issues, because it's like we can only take on so many clients. And if you're only charging 400, 500, 800 bucks, it's like, how are you going to get to 15, 20K? So we also need to just nail down that first. So that's the first thing. Then once we have a clear offer, step two is optimizing the page. That's where we were briefly talking about like the bios, highlights, pin posts, like the whole aesthetic of the page, just making sure that you're positioned as a go-to authority in your space, and just making sure that if people do come across your brand, they see you as, as credible. And then obviously that diving deeper on that, which we can also get into, is the messaging, figuring out like who is your target market, who are you trying to speak to, like what is that customer language. Too many coaches I see, they get online, they just start spewing content, just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, hoping it sticks, and their messaging is just not dialed in because they don't even really know to a T like who are they speaking to. So I show my clients how to do like a lot of deep work and ask the right questions in order to get to the root of who is my target market and how do I speak to them in a way that produces conversion transformation. So that's the second thing. Moving into step three is lead generation, because we can have a great offer, great social media, but it's like if we're not getting leads and we're not booking calls, it's going to be hard to make money. So step three in my offer is how do we create a predictable and consistent lead generation system. So there's a couple different ways we can do it, but just based on like my results, the past 8 years, based on my clients' results, DM outreach is by far the first thing my clients should do, and what a lot of coaches should do to hit their first 10 to 20K per month. Once you get there and you have some capital, then you can start, doing some paid marketing, ads, some other things as well. But I show my clients basically just giving them my stuff on a silver platter, my targeting, scripts I've used, follow-up processes, pretty much everything I've used personally to hit my first 10, 20, 30K per month directly through outreach. And then step four, once we've figured out the lead generation, step four is a little bit down the line. It's what I call scale. And with scale, that's where we want to think long-term. We want to create systems and processes for like the lead generation, the outreach, and especially for the content creation, because a lot of people spend way too much time like creating, editing, filming, the ideation. So I help my clients like from the beginning create processes for everything to save themselves time, create time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. That way their business serves their life versus, the other way around. Because a lot of us coaches, we get into this new almost like hamster wheel. Like there's obviously the 9 to 5 hamster wheel, but a lot of us coaches, we're like on this other hamster wheel where we're working 12 to 15 hours per day. We're grinding our asses off to get leads. We're barely scaling, serving 1 million clients. So with scale, it's like, okay, how do we create the most efficiency as possible in this business so we can run like a 50 to 100K per month business, but not have to like sacrifice our time and freedom.
Okay, so first is your offer. We're finding your offer, and then we're getting into like brand and presence, and then we're getting into how to generate leads, and then we're getting into how to scale after
Yep.
that. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
What do you think is the thing that most people struggle the most with?
I mean, I feel like I would say leads, but the leads really, that all ties back to the root, which is they're unclear. Like they're unclear about their target market. They're unclear about even like why they want to build this brand. They're unclear about what it is that they actually offer. They're unclear about, the actual content to be posting. So I think, high level, it's leads. Everyone's saying like, oh, I don't have leads. I'm not booking calls. But the reason for that is because of all these other like step 1, 2, and 3 that we talked about. So at the core, it's actually, you just haven't done the deep work. You haven't sat down and gone through and like really figured out for yourself, like who is your target market, even like who you are as a person. I think people are really boring online because they're just regurgitating other people's content. They're not really being themselves. Like the reason we look up to Tony Robbins, Patrick Bet-David, all these massive entrepreneurs and like thought leaders is because they're not like regurgitating other people's content, right? They're not trying to be the next. Like you look at Wes Watson, like he's a cool dude, but it's like I look at all the people that come through his program. They're all tatted up, roided. They're screaming at the camera, discipline over, motivations. Like they're all saying the same thing. You know what I mean? So they're not really, and some of them do really well, but like a lot of them, they just follow Wes because like, okay, Wes is making $2 million a month apparently, so let's just do exactly what he does and become a carbon copy. They're not really thinking for themselves. So I think a lot of people just at a very deep level, they haven't done the work to figure out like what are their beliefs, what do they stand for, like who are they, like how do you find your own voice, and then use that and lean into that in order to build your personal brand.
Yeah. What about high ticket? So talk to me about, you said that you help your clients develop a high ticket offer. You used to be a high ticket sales, just high ticket in general. Talk about what are your thoughts on high ticket and sales and stuff?
Yeah, great question. So when I think high ticket, people have different definitions. I feel like anything above like 2K is, I'd say, relatively high ticket. I mean, I have clients that are charging $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. So sky's the limit with like what you can charge. It really comes down to, do you see the value in your product and in yourself to charge that? Do you think the transformation that you get is worth it? But high ticket, just on so many levels, it makes so much sense. So it's crazy when like all my clients initially come into my program, they're like, okay, I got this program, it's 6 months for $1,000. Okay, like if we split that out, like you're charging a couple hundred a month, like how are you going to scale that? I even tell them like psychologically, as a buyer, it's like if I see that your program is $500, $1,000, even like sometimes $2,000, like I'm like, at this point I'm at the level where I can spend like 10 grand on a program because I know that it's worth that, and they obviously have done the work to be confident to charge that. So like I'm at the level where it's like if I even see a program for like $1,000 or $800, psychologically I'm like, if it's so like valuable, transformational, why are you charging so little? Like why is it so cheap? You know what I mean? So that's the first thing. Second thing is you also attract the wrong people. So if you're charging super low ticket, you're going to attract what I've heard are called like freebie seekers, people that are, just getting started, just getting into maybe looking at investing. So that like $800 is like their life savings, and they're like, I can't part with this. Like I need this to work, blah, blah, blah. And it's always good to help like the completely new beginners, but they're also way more hassle. Like I made the mistake of kind of having my targeting off a little bit in the beginning. I was trying to target people that I used to be, which were 18, 19-year-old kids getting into like posting online. Most 19-year-olds, they don't have, $5K to just throw at an offer. So I had an issue with people not being able to afford my services. So the second thing is, because you're charging so little, there's no like gate or barrier to entry. It's like everyone can join your program. And then with that, number 3, which is also a negative, is they don't take it as seriously, because if you're charging $800, it doesn't sting as much. Whereas you charge $4,000 or $5,000, now it's like, okay, I'm investing a good amount. Like it's not like a crazy amount, but like $4K for really anybody, it's like, I need to take this seriously. I want to see results, and we all know people that pay attention, right? So that's why I tell them like from the jump, that's like the first thing is like, hey, we're going to charge high ticket because you get better quality clients. They take it more seriously. You make more money, so you're way more happy serving these clients. And then also, again, they just see better results. Like the clients that pay me the most are always the ones that get the most or see the best results. So it's funny how that works. It's like, you can get lower quality clients and they're probably going to get lower quality results. Or you can charge what you're worth and have it be like a win, 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 win. And so I think the reason that most people don't charge high ticket usually is a mindset thing. So even the first like 3 to 5 weeks of my program, it's very mindset based, because even me, like it was like pulling teeth to finally get to the point where I could charge like 5 to 6K for an offer. Cause it's just like, I felt like I didn't have that value or that worth yet. So the reason people charge like $800 or, $500 is because they don't know, or they feel like it's not as worth it, or maybe they're already not getting closes at $800. So they're like, why would I triple my price? Then I'm really not going to get clients. But the funny thing is, every time I raised my price a little bit more, I got more sales. My close rate went from like 18% to like 40% because I raised my price. So that it's funny how it works, and it's a very big like mind fuck. It's crazy to like comprehend until it actually happens to you. But just on every level, high ticket, it's just the way to go. So that's like the first thing I teach my clients.
Yeah. And also, let's say that if I were to offer you a Ferrari, a brand new 2025 Ferrari for $1,000, your first question is what? What's wrong with it?
Mm-hmm.
And so if your thing is so great and it can really get me what you're telling me it's going to, then why isn't it worth what it's supposed to be worth?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Question.
And I feel like I think people don't have the excuse anymore to not charge high ticket, because there's also options like Affirm or Klarna where like you can pay over time. Like I've had clients, like they don't have the full 5-6K up front. It's like, okay, well, let's do like a pay over time option. And the cool thing with my thing is like I've seen these new things they're rolling out where you can do Klarna for like Uber Eats or something like that, just like liabilities or like a couch. So it's like, okay, that's something where, okay, that becomes bad debt over time that you're paying off, or you should just pay it up front. Versus with this, you're using Klarna, Affirm, one of these, finance companies to get started for a much cheaper rate. So that way you can get the resources you need to start making more money. So most of my clients, if they do the pay over time, I'll say, okay, choose the 24-month option, get started for $200 or less, but then we'll start making money so you can pay it off in 3 months. And there's no penalties to do that, which is beautiful about these, finance options. So at this point, you really don't have an excuse to not charge high ticket, charge what you're worth.
Yeah. What percentage of your sales these days are you seeing, or even for you or for your clients, are people using Afterpay options?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't done the exact math. It's probably less than 20%. And I think the reason for that is because I've gotten my targeting so on point now that I don't really attract a lot of, lower quality or just not as financially qualified leads because of, the process we have with like the booking forms and the questions that we ask. So I'm lucky to, and it wasn't like that in the beginning. The beginning I was, booking really low quality calls. So I was just taking those, not closing, or getting like those objections. But yeah, recently it's probably like 20% or less, just because I feel like I have my targeting a lot more on point now.
What about the sales aspect of it? So are you doing all the sales, or do you have people do their own sales, or do your clients typically hire salespeople, or what about the sales stuff?
Yeah. So in terms of sales, it really depends on the level that they're at, or like what scale they are. Because even for me, like I am a big believer in lean teams. So I could realistically scale this to, let's say, 200, 300K per month. But then it's like I have all this overhead, all these employees, all these people to pay. And it just creates a lot of stress. And one value that I really hold dear is like my sanity and my freedom. So I would rather make a little bit less, but like have a team of 2 people and a VA, and it's like, okay, there's 3 of us, we can crank, a little less than 100K per month, but it's like, okay, we have financial freedom, time freedom, we can really do whatever we want, whenever we want, versus having all this overhead. So I've had a couple clients where they want a closer, so you just bring in a closer. I would say if you can book more than 100 calls a month, that at that point you can bring on a closer. I'm currently only booking 4 to 6 calls per day, like 5 to 6 days a week. So like I'm sort of at that level, but even then I've built my whole process, like my whole coaching offer around, the systems that I've created, like the flexibility and just like the efficiency. So I don't really take more than maybe 15 to 20 client calls a week. It's like I have a group call, but there could be 10 people in that or 100 people in that group call, still the same 1 hour per week. And it's like I don't have a lot of there's not a lot of like necessary one-on-one support that's needed unless like they really need help, because I've built out modules. Like I have it all created to where I really don't have to work more than maybe 4 hours per day on that side, and then the rest would be sales calls. So it's like if I work 4 hours per day here, maybe I take 3-4 hours worth of sales calls. It's like that's a typical day. So right now I'm just managing it myself. I think if I scale a little bit more, I think the next hire will definitely be a closer. But even then, it's like I don't really want to build this to where I'm booking like 500 calls. I have coaches under me. It's like then I feel like I get too far removed from the client success. I think that's one edge that I have over a lot of these massive coaching companies. Is I've invested probably $140,000 at this point into coaches, mentors, courses, seminars. And one thing I see about the high level coaches is they have a closer, they have a head coach or whatever that you're assigned to, so you almost don't get to talk to them. So if you hire Tony Robbins, unless you're paying him like $100K, you're probably not going to actually talk to Tony Robbins. You buy one of his programs, you hire like a coach. Same with Dean Graziosi and all these other guys. And with me, I don't really want to lose, and maybe this is a limiting belief, but I don't want to lose that one-on-one connection with my clients. Like I want to be in the trenches with my clients to make sure that they're actually seeing crazy good results. So it's kind of a toss up. It's like, do I want to scale this? But I don't want to get too far removed. So it's, something I'm kind of weighing out right now.
Yeah, speaking of that, what does a good program look like? I mean, is it only courses? Is it just group calls? Is it all one-on-ones? What does a good program look like in your opinion? How do you get the results?
Yeah. I mean, mine is a hybrid, but I don't think it's my way or the highway. And the beautiful thing about coaching is like you can really build out whatever program model you want. And that's why with step one, we figure that out. Like, do you want this to be something where you have one-on-one aspect, or do you want this to be completely passive and it's like a course where they go through and they watch the videos, do action items? So that's the first thing we figure out is like, what do you want? And again, I don't think there is a right or wrong. I think preferably, just from my personal experience, the best results I've seen in programs is usually a hybrid. They have modules, so video content that people can go through on their own time. Maybe there's some action items or worksheets that they can go through, but they get that one-on-one connection, that one-on-one guidance. And I think that's still very important, even if it's just a group call once per week, like a Q&A. I think that one-on-one support where they can actually talk to a human each week or every other week, that allows there to be a lot more flexibility, like resources and guidance that they can get in addition to just video content. So if I had to say, like, I would say probably a mix. But again, I have some clients crushing it and they don't have any one-on-one calls. It's just like Slack channel access. They can text or send voice notes, and then they have some modules. So there is no like right or wrong answer technically.
Yeah. And I see that you've been doing a lot of podcasts lately. How important are podcasting to building your personal brand and building your online business?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't think podcasting is like vital, like you have to do it. I do think it helps a lot though. I mean, I'm purposely going on really as many podcasts as I can, just meeting new people, making the connections. I think it also helps systematize the content because we can probably get like 4 or 5, 6 pieces of content just from this. So it's like, sure, I may be talking for an hour, but I'm spending that time, number one, connecting with another person. Like, you're obviously a very high level person as well. And then number two, I can get content out of this. It helps you kind of refine your messaging. And then also the credibility aspect is huge too. That's why I used to help people get featured in press articles and get out to more people, is because, if they can see that you are credible enough to be on a mid-sized, large podcast or get featured in a specific article, it just builds trust, it builds credibility. So yeah, I don't think it's like you don't have to do it if you don't want to, right? But I do think it helps in quite a few areas. It also just helps build your confidence on camera, where it's like off the cuff, you ask questions. It's not something where you pre-plan it or script it like you would with ChatGPT or creating reels. So I think it is good practice as well, for sure.
What about webinars? You ever get into webinars? You ever do one-to-many presentations?
No, dude, people keep telling me I need to do these. I agree. I think I need to launch like a big webinar. I mean, obviously we're just coming out of Alex Hormozy's massive, that's just insane. Like the 100 million money models. I mean, he literally cracked like 100 million that day just from that webinar. So it shows the potential, you know what I mean? I never got into it because I don't know why I haven't really done webinars. I mean, I've just always been big into just talking to people one on one, and I know like one to many, it's much more efficient, right? But yeah, still, I've just always been a big believer in just speaking one on one, seeing like what they specifically need help with. But I think that's definitely in the cards. I think if you have an audience, even if you're at like 3K, 5K, 10,000 followers, like if you have some audience, you can get 15, 20, even 50 to 100 people in a room or in a webinar, and you can have a really well crafted pitch and a really well crafted process and piece of value that you're conveying. I think you can. I know people cranking 100K or 200K just from one day of talking on a webinar. So I'm definitely. I would say they're definitely worth it, but I don't know why I haven't just put my foot down and done a webinar
Well,
or two.
what you're doing is working, right? So it's like hard to spend time building
Yeah,
something
that's true.
out, Um, like I think Alex Hormozy or somebody says like one channel, one offer, 1 million. So it's like
Hmm.
if you can just focus and go hard on one thing instead of getting distracted, like, oh, webinars are better, or like, oh, this is better, oh, this is VSL, and now we need this. And that's one of the things that keeps a lot of people broke is they're like, what's the next shiny ball that I can chase?
Yeah,
Instead of
exactly.
like just doing more of what's currently working for you, for people.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's also why I've just personally seen a lot of success in my own offer and in my own brand because I've been very like on track with one thing. Like I know I have buddies, they literally hop to the next thing every few months, or they do something, they fail, they go to the next thing. And I've literally never swayed. Like I've always done outreach, I've always built my brand. This also segues me into the offers. We don't want to have a million different offers and a million different price points because that confuses your audience. So even with me, I have one brand, I have one message, I have one core offer, one price point. If we need to do a custom package or payment, we can do that. But I don't have like a tier 1, tier 2, tier 6, tier 8 because it just confuses the buyer. I see a lot of that's another mistake coaches make is they have way too many options and offers, and then you get this paralysis by analysis. So it's like, yeah, simple scales. Like I'm a very big believer in keeping it simple.
Nice. Yeah, I pretty much only do webinars right now, which is funny because there's just so many different ways to grow a business, especially online, which just goes to show there's so much opportunity. But I used to do one-on-one sales calls, and I would run ads to a call, and then I would have everybody no show, and then
Mm,
the people that did show, there wasn't enough like pre-indoctrination, and didn't know who I was or what the offer was, and so they weren't qualified. And I'd have my whole calendar booked out of sales calls, and then most of them didn't show, and then the ones that did show didn't buy, and so it was tough. And
yeah.
so one day I decided to do a webinar where I'm like, okay, even if I get 10 people to show up, this is going to be better for me than spending a whole day on sales calls. And yeah, that first day I got like 17 low ticket sales, which was awesome.
Yeah,
And
there you
then
go.
all the people that bought low ticket, all those people they got an onboarding call, which is basically a sales call, and then I was able to upsell a portion of them, and I was like, this is my business model. This is what I do. So
Mm,
I know, and same way, I know I could be making way more money if I did do the one-on-one sales calls, but I just don't want to sit on sales calls. And I do sales calls, but my onboarding calls are only with people that have already given me money. So that's
mm.
my like caveat is I pretty much will only I only try to sell people that have already paid me money of some sort, or I try to do one to many. Um,
Yeah, that's a good strategy. Yeah, and
yeah,
I mean, same thing is like don't try to fix what's already working.
yeah,
It's like you don't want to break it. So if it's working
exactly.
for you, you just keep scaling it to the moon. And if you end up maybe seeing a diminishing return, then that's when we can look at other avenues.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, what do you think that what's your goals? Like, what are you trying to accomplish with this business? Are you just trying to get as big as you can, or are you trying to have your time freedom, or What are you
Yeah,
looking to do
that's
with your business?
to be completely honest, like I don't really know specifically. I think ideally, like at least this year, my overall goal per month would be like 100K. Like I want to be doing, 100K per month profit. Um, I think I can realistically do that with 2 or 3 employees that I currently have, with the systems that I have in place. So that's the current goal. I think long term, I mean, I'm farm kid at heart, so take the earnings, buy some farmland, build a white house with 3-car garage and a couple nice cars, have a family, and keep on chugging along, having that freedom, and just figure out like what is that balance. Like I don't want to again sacrifice too much with the business, so I don't have time to spend with the family, but I also know that I have pretty big purpose, and I want to help as many people as possible. So if that means scaling the business to $500,000 a month or more, then yeah, so be it. I'm down.
Yeah. What does your average day look like right now? Are you just packed, or is it pretty free, or a little in between? Nice balance.
Yeah. So right now, in this current moment, it's not very packed. If you asked me that 3 weeks ago, it was like it's on the clock, like sales calls like crazy. So it sort of fluctuates. Like right now, I've been doing a lot of traveling. Like I'm actually in Fort Lauderdale, but I was born in Ohio, but raised in Virginia. So all of my family is up there. So we've been doing like trips back and forth. Like my wife's sister's wedding was the other day. So I've died down the business a little bit right now. So I would say coming back mid-September, my typical day is I wake up around 6 a.m. Immediately just, message some people, some team members, respond to DMs and emails. Usually I'll go to the gym around 7:30 for about an hour, shower, eat breakfast. And then I'm usually down here like in my office by 9 a.m. So then 9 to 11 is usually more like admin work. And then usually 11 through like 4 p.m. I'm taking calls. Occasionally we'll, do like a podcast like this, or I'll have like an in-person meeting in here. And that usually stops around 6 p.m. And if it's like a content day, then I'll also do filming. And usually I batch my content. We can get into how I systematize my content creation. But if it's like a content filming day, then usually I'll spend, 45 minutes to an hour doing filming, which I usually will do from like 6 to 7. And then 7 is usually a hard stop. Sometimes if I'm super busy, I'll keep working, but usually by like 7 p.m., stop working, go, see my family. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter and then a wife. So again, I still try to spend enough time with them. So just very dedicated before she goes to bed, and then, just hang out, watch a show or two. I'm not really like, I was even watching a video from Alex Ramosi, and he was showing how like he was just grinding like a dog, sleeping 4 hours a night. And it's like I get the grind culture, but like I think you can build something sustainable and build something of substance and still have time to like chill out, watch a show, and just hang around. So I don't think I'm not a huge believer of just like grind till you're burnt out, because then you end up going backwards. You take time off, or you're just not as passionate about it. So yeah, I definitely hard stop at 7 and then just focus on the family.
Yeah, that burnout's an interesting thing. I used to think burnout just means like you get tired and so you stop. And
Yeah.
like I'm an athlete also. Like I do jiu-jitsu and stuff, and I compete. And so like my idea of burnout was just like means you get so tired, you're running so hard, then you get tired and you stop. But it's actually not what it is. And I know recently, because I kind of went through it, but it was like you just stop enjoying it. And it's really hard to be good at something that you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And so if you are doing something so much to where you hate doing it, you can't be good at it. And
Yeah.
so it's not a matter of like I can push through this. It's just like I hate doing this and I don't want to do it anymore. And so you have to like be able to take a step back enough to like rekindle it to where it actually makes it fun again. So
Absolutely.
that's important.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up. I was talking to one of my coaches, and we were talking about how like sometimes I'll push things a little too far in business, and then I stop enjoying it. So he had me do like an exercise, like, okay, in what areas of your life or content or business or branding or whatever are you sometimes pushing it over the edge, where like you said, it almost becomes this silent burnout. Like to your point, most of us think, okay, we're burning, like when we hit burnout, we're gonna like fall on the floor and just start crying or something. But it's like usually that doesn't happen, and well before that, it's almost subconsciously we almost end up in this silent burnout of I'm not enjoying this, I'm disassociating from it. It's like you're just doing it because you want to hit that next level, you want to hit that next revenue goal or whatever. But yeah, like you said, you don't enjoy it. There's no passion, there's no fire, and eventually that does lead to like true burnout where you do potentially even just throw in the towel and quit. So I think it's important to audit, like, at what stage are you at? Like, are you pushing it a little too far? Like, why are you trying to push it over the edge? Again, I don't think the Alex Hormozi mindset is really helping. I think he's, a breed of his own. Same with like Joe Rogan and David Goggins and these guys that are just like, go until your ankles are bleeding or whatever. So it's like you do you, but if you really want to build something long term, I think that making sure you're auditing that is very important.
Yeah. So let's talk about content a little bit. I'd like to know about your content strategy and how you find time to build content and scale content and what's working, stuff like that.
Yeah. So in terms of my content process, what I'll typically do is like I'm not the off the cuff type of guy. Like I will here and there do content off the cuff, especially on my stories, but I'm also very pre-planned and methodical about it. So for instance, let's say we take a month. Let's say we take September. Usually the first week of the month, so the first week of September, what I'll do is I'll block off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I'll block off a small chunk of those days where, okay, Monday for an hour, I'm going to do ideation. I'm going to come up with new topics. I also like to go to other brands or other pages that are maybe sort of in my niche, or just people that I could get inspiration from, just to spark up some creative energy. So Monday's like ideation, coming up with like, okay, what are topics that people in my space are talking about, but also what are people vibing with, engaging with when it comes to my space. So that's the first thing. Step 2 on Tuesday is when I'll do the scripting. So I'll use ChatGPT and just get very in the weeds with that. I think a lot of people, they're very surface level. Same with their content, they're surface level with like what they're giving ChatGPT. They're like, hey, give me 10 real scripts, about fitness. And that's like, okay, they spit out a generic prompt or whatever, or, generic scripting. So you want to make sure that what you're giving ChatGPT is very specific, is targeted. I just brain dump, like I dump all of my stuff about my target market, what their pain points are, their problems, the ideal outcomes they want to achieve. And then what I'll do is, so Tuesday, as I'm scripting, I'll make sure I have maybe, let's say, 15 scripts for Reels. That way, by Thursday, I just sit down, film it all in one, consecutive hour, maybe even 2 hours, and then I send it to my editor. So if I wanted to edit it myself, I could, but that's usually how I will chunk out my content. What I used to do, which is what most people do, is I would come up with an idea, I would film it right then and there, I'd script it, film it, edit it, post it, jumbled it all together. I think that is very stressful, right? So that creates a lot of overwhelm because like, okay, I have all this stuff to do. One post took me like 4 hours. How the heck am I supposed to do 15 of these? And they just fly by the seat of their pants. So I'm very intentional for that week. I block it out, even if it's like 30 minutes or an hour for each one of those days. And then by the end of the week, I have 15 reels. I actually only post maybe 3 or 4 of those reels per week. So it's like, okay, I have 3 weeks worth of content. So I don't even have to think about the talking head content. And anything else I can just sprinkle in. Like if Spark of Inspiration comes up, I can post that. I have like a birthday photo dump or whatever, post that up. It's like, that's what I call like filler content. But the actual like like the talking head value-based content is always done within that week. So that's how I block it out. That's how I create my content. And then again, like I will post up on my stories. I'll even schedule my stories too. Like people are always asking me like, how do I come up with ideas? Like I don't know what to talk about on my stories. How are you so consistent with talking on your stories? And it's just because I pre-plan it. I think everybody makes time for what they deem a priority. Like you obviously prioritize jujitsu or health, fitness. Same with me. So it's like if we want to work out 5 days a week, Like I probably work like twice as much as the average person my age, but I still go to the gym, 5 times a week. It's like, okay, how do you do that? It's because I block it out on my schedule. I pre-plan it. That way I have that chunk of time dedicated to that thing. It's the same thing with content creation. I just block that out. I pre-plan it. I literally put it in my notes section in my schedule, from, 9 a.m. to 9:30, create like a quick value-based story post or like a call to action story post. And it's like, okay, it's on my to-do list. It gets done. So it's all about just planning, scheduling, and making sure that it's actually a priority.
What about YouTube? Are you hitting YouTube pretty hard, or is it mostly Instagram and Facebook?
I should be hitting YouTube a lot harder at this point. I try to post once a week, one long form, and I'm also regurgitating my reels. I think shorts, surprisingly, are starting to take off. So like if you guys aren't capitalizing on shorts, I definitely would take all your content from TikTok or Instagram, repurpose it, post it on YouTube Shorts, because I've been getting some decent views there. But yeah, in terms of long form talking head, like I should be better at that, to be honest with you. The only reason I'm not currently is because, again, I'm a very big believer, one thing, focus until you're successful. So like up until maybe a year ago, Instagram was my full focus. I wanted to blow up on there, scale up a massive audience, get the content dialed in. And once that was successful, then I can move into YouTube. So that's the only reason why like my YouTube has definitely been slacking, for better words. But definitely this upcoming year or like these next handful of months, I'll be on like a much more consistent routine, because I do think it's very important. Like there's that stat out there that like it takes, I think it's 7 hours of like watch time for a consumer to basically convert into becoming a buyer. So if you think about it, like Instagram, let's say it's a 30-second, 45-second, 1-minute reel. It's a lot of reels, you have to post out for you to get 7 hours worth of watch time. Versus you post out a 30-minute YouTube video or even like a 1-hour YouTube video, you're almost creating this deeper connection. So I do think it helps a ton with those people who do come across top of funnel social media, like content on Instagram, but they want to get like that deeper connection. That's actually why I'm really pushing these podcasts. I'm also using this as like a supplement for my lack of, trainings and long form content on YouTube, because I have a whole playlist of, 12, 15 different podcasts, and those are all an hour long. So it's like all those people who do want to binge more of my stuff, more of my value, something like this. I mean, this could have been, a 30-minute YouTube video or like a 1-hour YouTube video where I'm just pouring in a ton of free value. So I feel like a podcast is essentially the same thing. But yeah, to answer your question, I think focus on one social media platform first, crush it there, and then move into YouTube. Like I don't care if you start with Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I'd prefer Instagram. I think it's just like a melting pot of all the right targeting. But I would do that first, and then you can, start to really focus on YouTube and build out that.
Yeah. What about ads? Are you running ads? Do you run ads often? And what's your thought on that?
Yeah, dude, I have had quite the run with ads. I've actually crushed it with organic, which I'm happy about. But yeah, in terms of ads, like I've probably paid tens of thousands of dollars to agencies that just can't crack it for me. They either get the ads running, it's going well, we're booking a ton of calls, but they're totally like garbage leads. Or it's like they get maybe a handful of good leads, but it's like 3 a month. So we've definitely been playing around, tweaking it. Like currently the DM outreach, the organic marketing just for my content, and then email marketing has actually been working really well for me. Those are the 3 channels currently. So I have a team doing all of my email marketing, cold email. They're sending like, 60,000 emails a month. And then I have a setter full time.
How many emails per month?
60,000.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
Shout out to my partner Zane. Like I don't know how he does it. I'm not as technical as he is, so I couldn't even tell you like the whole back end. But they're sending 60,000 a month. It's taken like probably half a year to really like warm up these emails and get everything situated to the point that they could do that. And then on top of that, I also have a setter, Patrice, and she's crushing it with booking calls. She works 8 hours a day, every single day, just on the clock in those emails, booking calls. Same with my DM outreach. So again, like I haven't really needed webinars and ads and all this stuff. Like it would be nice to have 3, 4, 5 extra calls on the books from paid marketing, but it's like if I'm getting all this from organic and email and outreach, I haven't seen a huge need. Plus, on top of that, I've spent, again, tens of thousands of dollars on agencies and people saying they can run my ads. I probably spent like, it's not a lot, but it's like 6,000-7,000 just on the ads themselves, and it's just produced little to nothing. So I'm like, I'll crack it one day. I'm sure there's people out there that are.
I mean, it's just when I hear people that are able to grow without ads, like it just blows my mind. I don't know where I spend ridiculous amount of money on ads every day, and it's just I couldn't imagine not like growing my business without ads. I guess you either you spend your time or you spend your money, right? And so I always liked the concept of being able to like find an ad that works and then just put more money into it. But and then but I mean it'd be nice to be able to do some organic stuff too. So that's
I mean I honestly think like not only would it be nice, but I think it's actually a necessity. Because if you think about it, a lot of people, what they do is they get into ads. I harp on this all the time because I've had friends, they get into ads way too early. They put all their eggs in that one basket, and they're, again, they found an ad that wins, and they're just following that channel. Okay, we're getting booking calls and whatever. But then Facebook changes one thing about the pixel or the ad or the targeting or the algorithm, and now they're getting no leads. Or even worse, again, I've literally had this happen to buddies of mine. Their whole ads manager account gets shut down. So it's like you, at one point, put all your eggs in this one basket. You got into ads way too early. You didn't build out your organic side first. So now you're fully dependent on paid marketing, where it's really not in your control at the end of the day. And that's one thing I like about organic is whether I crush it with ads or not, organic is going to be bringing it in. So I think one thing I did correctly, which is what I tell my clients to do as well, build out the organic side first, have a base there, even if it's small, like 5, 10, 20 calls per month organically. It's like, okay, at least if my ads stuff gets shut down completely or like they change something up with the targeting, at least I know like, okay, I'm booking 20 calls. We can close like 7 of those people. And, you're still making 7, 8, 10K per month. But I just would prefer to have not put all my eggs in this one basket with paid marketing, where like I've seen it happen. They're crushing it, and then they're following this channel, and then boom, something happens. No organic built out whatsoever. Not really posting content. Don't have any audience. Haven't really nurtured. So that's just the one thing I would say about fully relying on like paid marketing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. What about school community? Do you have a community that you run in that you push people to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't have a school. I don't have a school community. I have Slack. Very similar. The only reason is because I created this Slack channel before school came out. I launched my offer before ChatGPT came out. So all my clients, like, they're so lucky they have AI, ChatGPT, school. It makes it so easy as a coach to, launch and scale an offer. But yeah, I do have like a small, like a lower ticket option. Usually it's just for clients that come in. So usually my clients will pay me up front, the full payment. And then it's like a 12, so give you insight on the actual like deliverables, the program. It's a 12-week program. So they get that, the resources, the modules, worksheets, workbooks, one-on-one calls. And there's also a group portion of that as well. So we do weekly group calls. They get into the Slack channel. So typically if people don't want to do like an Ascension offer that I have, they'll just hop on like the small monthly sub, couple $100 a month. It keeps them active in the Slack channel, the weekly group calls. So that's like a continuation where it's, building my monthly recurring revenue, keeps them engaged. So hypothetically, like, yeah, if you wanted to hop in that channel, I'd be down for that. So that is one option. That's something I'm trying to build out passively, because if I could get that to like 30, 40, 50K per month, just turning, where I don't have to spend a ton of time, that's like where the real freedom is at, I feel like.
Yeah, 100%. The reason why I ask is because I haven't cracked email. I hardly ever do email. And, not everybody buys the first time, but it's important to nurture and to build that relationship. So that's like, that email can be a really tough one to crack. A lot of people have really great success with it. I haven't spent much time on it, but I've been hesitant because of all the challenges that come with email, the technical stuff, the low
Yeah.
open rates, the spam, the it's a lot of work also. But then I thought about
Yeah.
like how can you nurture people, and a community is a great way to do that. And whether it's free or paid, if you can push people into a school community, and then instead of sending emails, you're just dripping value on them there. And plus, you have the benefit of a push notification instead of having in somebody's inbox. You're like
Yeah.
on their home screen, you know. So that's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
I'm working on
I
now.
mean, I think the user friendliness of a group, like a school community, is way easier. Like, I'd probably rip my hair out if I was the one actually like in the trenches doing the email marketing. That's why I got my guy Zane doing it, because he's way more like technologically advanced versus me. But yeah, I think like a free school community. The only caveat to that is you obviously need an audience, right? So it's like if you haven't really built the brand, we don't really have any proof of concept, or like we haven't built the foundations yet. Like it's hard to get all these people in there. So I've had clients ask me like, "Hey, should I have like a $27 ebook? Hey, should I build out a free Facebook group?" And I'm like, you could, or maybe lock in a handful of clients first, just so like we have proof of concept. Again, more high ticket, because especially people that are trying to just make their first 10 to 20K per month. You know, if you're putting all this effort into building out this school community, whether it's free or like $5 per person, it's like you're not really making a lot of that upfront cash that we can now take and invest it into other things. But I think for like your level, yeah, like you already have the brand, the podcast, you know, 10,000 plus followers. I think it would make perfect sense to build out a school community.
Yeah. Well, cool. We're coming to an end here. I want to know if you have a one thing I like to ask is like, do you have a challenge that you'd like to challenge people to do? So if they're watching this and they want to become a coaching or start an online business, or they want to grow their personal brand, someone that wants to do that, what would you challenge that person to go out and do to improve
Mm,
their life and get that result? Or at
that's a
least
good
start
question.
walk down that path.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. I think it's going to depend on like what stage you're at, but I would say in general, I like to do this exercise of figuring out like a lot of your values. So basically, what I want you guys to do is grab a piece of paper, like put it in your notes section, write a line through the middle. You're gonna have what do I believe in, what do I not believe in. So you're gonna write down all like just as many like random like beliefs or values that you have. Then you're also gonna think about like what are some things I don't believe in or don't stand for or think are misconceptions in my industry. That's the first exercise that will help you get crystal clear on some of those things. And then what I want you guys to do is take a couple aspects of that stuff and then create a talking head piece of content. Like be 100% authentic, real, raw. And I want you to like audit maybe like the stories that come up, because I think people filter what they post online. They want to perform or they want to be this like ideal version, or you know, not have flaws. They don't want to be like their true authentic selves because they have stories in their head for like, oh, what is this person gonna think, or are people gonna, you know, get the wrong idea here? So I think the reason most people filter themselves at the very surface level is because of those stories or that like fraud voice in their head. So I would say do that exercise, create a piece of content, and audit how you feel, or like audit like what stories come up. And if you want to send them to me, that's cool. But that exercise alone, that will help you really understand like what are some of those thoughts like subconsciously that are coming to mind, because now we're bringing it up front and like we can actually see it. It's actually super interesting.
Hell yeah, Joe! Thank you so much. This has been Joe McCarthy. We're gonna put all his socials and everything in the description. Make sure you hit him up, follow him. Thank you very much for joining me today on the A-Lister Show, and see everybody next time. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.